Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fantasy Filmball. My name is Matt, with me is Dylan, and today we're going to be doing our weekly draft of movies. Because Avatar: The Way of Water came out, this week's draft that we're going to be doing for our Fantasy Filmball game is the draft of billion-dollar movies. We're going to be looking at, unadjusted for inflation, all the movies that have crossed $1 billion worldwide. It's a list of 51 films. We're going to be drafting teams of all of these. Dylan, break it down. What are the rules of the game? How does this work?
So, 51 films are eligible here today in our $1 billion draft. We're each going to get picks of 5 for a total of 10 total films taken. This is a snake draft, so because I won the last draft for Best Actor, that brings me to 2 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie for this little competition we're doing. Man. I had the first overall pick, but then that means you get picks 2 and 3, and then we bounce back and forth like that until we close with pick number 10. After that, everyone out there, whether you're watching on Spotify, YouTube, whatever it is, go to Twitter, go to YouTube community tab, vote for your person, vote for your team. That way, next week, we can see who has the best team, the best amount of points. That way, they can have the first overall pick for whatever draft we end up doing next week.
Yeah, Dylan, let's talk about last week. You destroyed me again. You were undefeated.
It was close. It was close. I won by a very tight margin, but yes, undefeated. 2-0-1 using these soccer scores, soccer or football, because we're out there in the World Cup right now, records.
Yeah, we don't talk about
ties
sports
out here. We got ties out here. So I got to look to continue this undefeated track record. And in my heart, there's a clear number 1 choice, but I'm not going with that one because I feel like I can take that one a little bit later. I want to go with something that I really do love, but I know a lot of other people love out there as well. There's probably better movies than this per se, but there's only one of this movie. And because, there's a lot of talk right now of Angela Bassett getting nominated for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Ooh.
But there's only one superhero type character who's ever won an Oscar, and that's the Joker. But there's a few Joker movies out here. And my heart says to take the other one, but I'm taking The Dark Knight.
Oh, that was one of my top 2. I was really hoping you were going to go completely off my list. Oh, man. Well, okay.
I kind of hinted at what the other one was, so that one is completely off the list.
Yeah, I'm not taking the other one, so I love that one, but I'm not taking it. Okay, Dark Knight, fantastic first pick right there. That is a really, really strong first pick. It's one of the greatest action movies of all time. I'm not even going to say superhero movie. It's a great action movie. Heath Ledger is incredible. That's a great first pick, Dylan, and I hope that that's not a trump card, as we've seen in previous weeks with you getting like Schindler's List right off the bat. And
it shouldn't be a trump card. It shouldn't be, because yes, you could look at what person has like the best or your favorite one, but you gotta look at the whole team, because there's sometimes maybe the last link on the team brings it down a little bit. But I don't know. That's how I always vote when I look at stuff. Is like, okay, like even like if you look at like SAG Ensemble, you look at the cast and be like, well, obviously Bill 1, Bill 2 are great, but what about Bill number like 6? They're still great. I'm gonna pick that one over the one where it's a little bit lighter.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna go with my first pick, and I scoured this list. There's a lot of really not great films on the $1 billion movie list. Like, I'm just gonna go over a few that I know will not be chosen here today. We will not be choosing Frozen 2. We most certainly will not be choosing any of the Jurassic World series. We certainly won't be choosing The Fate of the Furious.
Alice in Wonderland.
You might choose Minions, but I'm going to say I'm not choosing Minions or Transformers or anything. But near the bottom of the list, there was a film that stood out to me as not unexpected, but one that I don't associate with things like, Aquaman or, Transformers Age of Extinction. The film that I'm going to be taking first is Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Okay, that's
the
what
ultimate.
I was like hinting at as like probably the right number one choice.
It's it's one that doesn't. It's too good for the $1 billion movie list. It's too good for the $1 billion movies.
I will say, you said it was towards the bottom. Return of the King at the moment is, I just looked
number
at it,
26.
I lost it. Number 26. The Dark Knight is number 50. Before,
really? Wow.
Before Dominion passed it earlier this year, The Dark Knight was the lowest grossing $1 billion movie of all time. It doesn't hold that title anymore. Dominion didn't pass it. Dominion barely crossed that $1 billion range.
Well, it's interesting to think with The Lord of the Rings, because as far as I'm aware, those movies, like, every movie grossed more than the last one, and it was just like a growing spectacle where people wanted to see the next one more and more because of the previous one. Mm-hmm. So it is interesting to me that, like, The Lord of the Rings made $1.1 billion worldwide, because it doesn't seem like the type of movie that, like, really needed. I don't know, like, it's not one that I associate with the $1 billion movie club.
Well, it's here. It's in it. I want to hear what your second choice will be.
Okay. I just learned that this was on the list because I think I saw this film on the list twice. And I thought to myself that both of them were the bad one. But one of them is very much not the bad one.
No.
There is, at number 8, Jon Favreau's The Lion King. But I didn't notice that down close to the bottom of the list, at number 39, there's the 1994 Disney original The Lion King.
Get out of
number
here
2.
No.
That's my second pick right here. One of the greatest Disney musicals of all time. One of the greatest animated films of all time. A film that has my heart, has the people's heart.
Has my heart.
We're gonna go for it. The Lion King is my number 2.
Great. That kind of ruins my whole little strategy I had right here.
I didn't know it was on the list. You almost snagged it out from underneath me because I didn't know it was there.
I almost did. Okay, I have 2 routes I can go here. I can go with the completely biased, and it's going to lose me the draft route, because I could go 2 movies by the same director, and that doesn't seem like the smartest choice to do here.
I think I know what you're doing on this one.
But I don't know which movie from that director to pick, so I'm going to leave them on the board, and if you want to take both of them, you could take both. If not, I can take the one that you don't take later on. However, right now, I want to go with something that is a little bit... It may be a little bit early of a pick, but it's one that I feel like gives me another aspect and another dynamic of just what a $1 billion movie is. Because at The Dark Knight, I have that superhero movie feel. Mm-hmm. I have the more auteur type pick. While it is a blockbuster, it's made by someone that's very beloved. And when you talk about beloved, that also brings you into the realm of family films, and you picked the one I wanted with
I think we're coming at this from a very similar angle. I think you're gonna pick one of my next ones too.
So give me the other. So you have probably the best Disney animated film of all time. So give me what a lot of people consider the best Pixar movie of all time, and that is Toy Story 3.
Oh, god damn it, Dylan! I can't believe you've done this.
Hey. It's all fair. You got Lion King, I got Toy Story.
I know.
Well, I think there is a better one between the two. I don't want to verbally say that loud because that will make me look bad. So I'm going to let everyone out there say which one they like more when they vote here. So we each have a auteur's take on a blockbuster. We each have an animated film. And here's where the draft gets a little bit hard. Like I mentioned before, there's 2 movies by the same director. I would love them both. I don't think it's smart to take both, but I also don't think it's smart to pick one over the other because you're giving the other one for free very late in the draft. So that leaves me with having to step down a notch a little bit here for this next pick and not take what I think is the best film on the board, but take something that I think is a very good film, just not one of my favorites of all time. And looking at what's here, I think I have to go for something that some people may not draft at all, but I am taking it because I want 007 on my roster, so I want Skyfall.
Nice. That's a good pick. That's one that I was thinking of as a sleeper, but...
Yeah, it was in my round 5 picks, but because my round 2 picks are still on the board, I can move up a little bit.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, good pick. Very good pick. I mean, it's one of the best, if not the best, James Bond movie. Judi Dench is incredible. Javier Bardem is a fantastic villain. And plus, it looks beautiful. Roger Deakins gives some of his best work ever. But, for my next pick, I'm going to have to go with one of those films that you just left on the board. One of the films that you were talking about between that director. Now, I know that these films get a lot of hate from a lot of people, but I think that at least one of these films has just an overwhelming base of love and is still talked about to this day, despite being 25 years old at this point. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to bring Titanic onto my team. Titanic is the one between the two of them. Yes, Avatar is a film that I deeply love, but I think if we're looking at just pure general likability, Titanic is the ultimate 4-quadrant movie. It is a film that is made to be watched and loved by everyone across the board. This is a film that very much was designed with everyone in mind. It can appeal to young people with the action, older people with the period piece. It can appeal across, it's both a romance that appeals to young women and a disaster movie that appeals to older men. So, there you go. The ultimate 4-quadrant movie.
Fair enough. That's why I didn't want to have to make this pick here, because I didn't want to have to pick between my personal favorite and what is probably the more consensus type favorite. So I really like that selection. I think that is a steal to get here in the third round.
Oh, totally a steal in the third round. Now, this is the part where I'm going to have a little bit more issue. Okay, just give me one moment here.
Yeah, I am looking here at what I want here, and there's a few movies here, but I'm also looking I probably shouldn't have picked Skyfall there. I'm looking at something that's probably a little bit better of a pick for Skyfall to get that same type of feel and emotion out of people.
Okay, you know what? I am going to go to the very bottom of my list. Okay. I'm going to go to one that I wasn't thinking of as the most brilliant pick here, but the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of sold that this might just be the best pick that I can make at this point. And that...
Don't be it.
That is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Okay.
There's 2 Harry Potter movies that are on the potential. Yeah. And we've got... Deathly Hallows Part 2, and we've got...
I'm just going to say now, Deathly Hallows Part 2 is my next pick, so we can talk about both of them right here.
Let's do it. So, personally, Deathly Hallows used to be my favorite film of the franchise, but what I'm going for here is just pure magic, because Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone as you would know it, because you are an American, and it was released as Sorcerer's Stone there, and Philosopher's Stone everywhere else. But this film, to me, captures the magic of Harry Potter. I think it's the one that people think of most when they think of what this series means to them. It's the entry to Hogwarts. It's not the big, scary craziness. It's the family stuff. It's the learning about the world of Harry Potter, hearing about the houses, being immersed in Hogwarts for the first time. Is it the best film in the series? No, it's not. That would be Prisoner of Azkaban, which is not a $1 billion movie.
Correct.
But the thing that I think makes this film so special is just the way that it builds the magic. It's the foundation on which everything else sits on. And ultimately, if I'm going to watch one of these films as a standalone without the rest of the series, Deathly Hallows... It's just a big fight scene, really. In the end, it has emotional impact, but that emotional impact is nothing without everything that came before. Philosopher's Stone is a film that I could throw on at any time and just be yeah, this is magical.
You make great points there. Deathly Hallows, I agree with your take there of it does not really hold weight without the rest of the franchise. But with all that being said, this is the movie that every Harry Potter fan ever wanted. This is the one that culminated in everything throughout the whole time. And Honestly, I'm struggling to make a case here.
I
think
you have a case to make.
You have the team right here. I really, like I mentioned before, the Skyfall pick. Skyfall's like I should have gone with one of the Harry Potter ones, and then I could have got Skyfall on the wraparound here. Because it's the same thing with the Cameron movies. I just don't know which one's better. They both have great things that they present to the table. There's very different things. The reason why I'm struggling with my case for Deathly Hallows is the exact case I make for another movie is the opposite case that I can make for Deathly Hallows, because Deathly Hallows is what culminates and which brings everything together, and all those years, all those hours, all that commitment that went into it, it's rewarded here. Well, with my final pick, I could pick Avatar, but I want to be different. Everyone's like, Dylan's obviously going to get Avatar, but I just said earlier that Way of Water is better. So it would not make sense for me to take the worst of the two. And I'm looking here, and neither of us have a movie from this franchise, even though it's some would say it's the biggest franchise of all time.
I think I know what you're doing.
And as I said, Deathly Hallows is the culmination of everything, and it may not stand on its own. There's another movie that people said was the culmination of everything, but it does stand on its own, and that is Avengers: Infinity War.
Ooh, I would have thought you would have went Endgame.
Endgame, we talked about this on the Discord.
We've talked about this.
And Endgame, this is probably going to lose me a lot of points out there. Endgame sucks. Endgame is bad.
Boo.
Endgame is awful. I've watched Endgame 3 times. I think I started out at 6 and went to a 5, and now it's at like a 3. Endgame ruins everything about Infinity War, and in my eyes, it ruined the MCU. That's a discussion for another day, though.
Wow. I completely disagree. To me, I actually think Endgame is much stronger than Infinity War.
In
every way. I don't want a Marvel movie on my team.
I know which movie you're probably picking, though.
I want to hear you guess.
Is it the oldest movie on this list?
Let's see. It might be. It
93?
might be. You saying that makes me want to pick something else.
Well, don't let me sway you.
I'll do it. I'll pick it. I'm picking Jurassic Park.
There you go.
I've picked another team. I think it's one of the giants of this list. It's one of the biggest films on this list. It's one of the most important films on this list. I know you're not a big fan of it, which is why I left it till round 5. But ultimately, if we're looking at the blockbuster, if we're looking at what a billion-dollar movie is, you cannot miss Spielberg. Spielberg is the billion-dollar movie. Yeah, he doesn't have many on this list. I think Jurassic Park might actually be his only one on the list.
It is. It's the only Spielberg here.
Which is very interesting. But to make a film about, to make a list of blockbusters, I feel like having Spielberg on there is essential. He is the blockbuster. Spielberg is not just the most important director in cinema. He is cinema itself. And yes. Jurassic Park, none of the films that have come out since. You look at Avatar, you look at Avengers, the entire MCU, you look at the Star Wars films that have come out since, from Phantom Menace all the way until Rise of Skywalker. None of these films, Transformers, none of these films on this list would exist without Jurassic Park.
No, I agree. I think what's really interesting is what is still on the board here. Because if you go down this list and look at movies that weren't picked, that people are like, how did this not get picked? You, of course, have the Avatar, but that's because Titanic was picked, and I want to break away from the mold here. Endgame, because people were like, what? Endgame? Endgame's like the GOAT movie. How's it not here? No Star Wars movies were picked, which I thought was very interesting.
I don't think either of us are big Star Wars guys, though.
I do know that. I know neither of us are, but I'm sure like outside people are like, what do you mean no Star Wars movies were picked in like 10 best billion-dollar movies of all time? One I really wanted to pick, I just didn't have the space for it, was Top Gun Maverick. I really wanted it. Just if I would have had the 2-3 pick, I think I would end up getting it in the later rounds. But because I did get Dark Knight, because I did get the animated movie with that 1-2 punch, and then I took Skyfall in 3, like I was like, maybe I shouldn't have taken it here. I don't know. That's where I lost the ability to get Maverick, because I knew I wanted to end with Infinity War, and I just didn't know what that 3-4 kind of combo would be. And I think another very interesting one that wasn't picked, because I feel like this may be a more personal take here, but to me it just seems like this screams like someone would have taken it, would be one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
If I literally, in the middle of this, Control F'd Pirates just to see if Curse of the Black Pearl was crossed a billion, but it wasn't. It's at 600 million. I don't care for any of the other Pirates movies. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Dead Man's Chest I like well enough, but it's not Curse of the Black Pearl, which is one of the best action movies of all time. But you know what film is the biggest shock that it was not drafted here? Alice in Wonderland. I can't
Honestly,
believe we didn't take Alice in Wonderland.
I think it would be really fun to do the draft the 10 worst movies here one day, because that would be a very interesting list. And I feel like you and I would get a lot of hate for some of our picks that we would take there.
Ooh. Honestly, I think I'd pick Lion King 2019 in the exact same place. I fucking hate that movie, man. I hate it so much.
Well, I may finally get the chance to take Minions if that's the case. But yes, let's run through these teams real quick so everyone out there can go vote for who they think has the better team. So I ended up drafting The Dark Knight, Toy Story 3, Skyfall, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, and Avengers Infinity War.
And I drafted the Lord of the Rings Return of the King, The Lion King 1994, not 2019, that goddamn travesty. And then I picked Titanic, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer/Philosopher's Stone, and last but not least, Jurassic Park.
So everyone out there, cast your votes, Twitter, YouTube community, whatever it is. Next week, we're going to have a draft. But you guys stay tuned to find out. But until then, my name is Dyl.
My name is Matt, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.